Hari Om. Hari Om everyone. Welcome you all for the second monthly sadhana day. We will start today's session with Guru Stotram. First we will chant 3 times Omkaram, Shanti Mantram, followed by Guru Stotram. सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम। ओम समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्म विद्वरं मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं परमानन्दमाधवम्। गुरुस्तोत्रम्। अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। स्थावरं जंगमं व्याप्तं यत्किंचित् सचराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। चिन्मयं व्यापि यत्सर्वं त्रैलोक्यं सचराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। सर्वश्रुतिशिरोरत्न विराजितपदाम्बुजः वेदान्ताम्बुजसूर्यो यः तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। चैतन्य शाश्वत शांतो व्योमातीतो निरंजनः बिंदुनाथकलातीतः तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ज्ञानशक्तिः समारूढः तत्त्वमाला विभूषितः भुक्तिमुक्तिप्रदाता च तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अनेक जन्म संप्राप्त कर्मबंध विदाहिने आत्मज्ञान प्रदानेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। शोषणं भवसिन्धोश्च ज्ञापनं सारसम्पदः गुरोपादोदकं सम्यक् तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। न गुरोरधिकं तत्त्वं न गुरोरधिकं तपः तत्त्वज्ञानात् परं नास्ति तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। मन्नाथः श्रीजगन्नाथः मद्गुरु श्रीजगद्गुरुः मदात्मा सर्वभूतात्मा तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरुरादिरनादिश्च गुरु परमदैवतं गुरोर्परतरं नास्ति तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव त्वमेव सर्वं गुरुदेव देव। हरि ओम। हरि ओम। Next is the main topic or the main session of today's sadhana day. And today we have Brahmachari Ved Chaitanya with us. He did his Vedanta course from Sandivini Sadhanalaya, Mumbai, and at present he is serving at Chinmaya International Foundation. He is taking care of all the activities here. More than that, he was the Upacharya for the MGML, Master Gita, Master Life, and many students like you all are HSC students, and you must have seen him in Foundation Vedanta courses also, and other courses also he is coordinating. And Brahmachari Veji is here, and the topic of today's session is importance of sadhana. So Veji will be taking that session, followed by question answers also. So if you have any questions, you can kindly post it in Zoom messages. Okay, and Swami will be Brahmachari Veji will be taking the meditation session also. Okay, Hari Om Veji.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Am I audible?
Yes.
Thank you, Sudhirji. Thank you. We'll start with little meditation. I am makeshift arrangement, okay, for today. Swami Shardananji was taking the class, but Swamiji is not able to take that today, therefore I am taking it. All right. We'll start with little meditation and then we'll go to the topic. Please sit straight. Wherever you are, either you are sitting down or on chair, that's okay. Make sure that your backbone is straight. If you are sitting on chair, don't lean on to the back side of the chair. Try to keep the neck, head and back in one vertical line. Don't sit with the legs crossed. Keep both the feet on the ground if you are sitting on the chair. Gently close your eyes. Mentally prostrate to your Ishta Devata, to your Guru. Seek their blessings for success in this practice of meditation. Take a firm resolve that for next 15 minutes, I will not move my body even a bit. During this time, I do not belong to the world. Nobody's son, nobody's daughter, nobody's father, nobody's mother. I'm just a seeker of liberation, practicing meditation. Stronger the resolve that we take in the beginning, more focused we are during the meditation. Now focus on every sound that you can hear. It can be the natural sound of trees birds, rain. It can be electronic sound of AC, fan. Mentally take a note of each and every sound that falls on your ears. Now slowly bring your attention to your body posture, starting from the toes. Take your mind to every single part of your body. Mentally massage that part and relax it. Toes, feet, ankles, calf muscles, knees, thighs. Mentally massage every part and relax it. Now the midsection, the lower back, the spine, upper back, stomach, chest, both the shoulders, biceps, hands, wrists, palms, fingers, nails. Take your mind to every single spot, mentally massage it, and then relax it. Then the top portion, the neck, face, starting from chin, cheeks, lips, nose, eyes, ears, head, forehead, bring a little smile on your face, which will relax all the muscles. Now feel that your entire body is relaxed. Try to visualize the entire body posture as though you are looking at it from a third person's angle. Now bring your mind to your breathing. Without changing the breathing pattern, just observe. Observe the air entering through the nostrils, throat, chest, reaching the abdomen, and while exhalation, tracing the track back from abdomen to chest, through throat and nose, nostrils, outside. Without changing the breathing pattern, just observe. For next couple of minutes, I will not give any instruction. Keep your mind totally focused on the breathing, prana vikshana. Let it not have any other thought. Observing the breathing, prana vikshana, is one sure shot method to calm the mind. Now, with this comfortable body posture and calm mind, let us meditate on our own true nature, on the Supreme Self, the witness consciousness. Let us observe now the mind itself, which we have been using to observe everything else. Let us become the witness and observe the thoughts that are coming to our mind. Don't get involved in any thought. Thought will come, remain for a moment and go. Just be the witness. Observe your thoughts. Sometimes you will get involved with some thought and will follow with that thought. Don't worry. The moment you realize, become the witness again. Don't try to trace back how you came to that thought. Don't try to get rid of the thought. Just become the witness. When you start identifying with the witness, Sakshi Bhava. And when you start looking at the thoughts, you will see that the number of thoughts start to reduce. Let them reach a stage where there are only a few thoughts, that also the thoughts that we want. At such time, bring the Brahmakara Vritti, the thought of I am Brahman, in the mind, and try to maintain that thought. The mind will now and then break into other thoughts. The moment you realize it, drop that thought, bring the mind back to the single thought of I am Brahman. You can also take help of some verse, some mantra, giving the nature of that Supreme Brahman, and maintain this single thought I am Brahman. I am the Supreme Brahman who is without any quality, without any form, without any impurity, without any upadhi, conditioning. I am the Supreme Brahman who is eternal, unchanging, immovable, permanent, real, of the nature of existence, consciousness, bliss. I am that Supreme Brahman who is the substratum of the entire world. The entire world is mere a superimposition on me. That reality, that Supreme Brahman, I am. Again, for a couple of minutes, I'll not give any instruction. Try to maintain this thought, I am Brahman. Now bring your mind again to observe your breathing. With every breath that you take, keep the thought in the mind, I am Brahma. Become aware of breathing. Bring the mind's attention to your body posture. Mentally prostrate to your Ishtadevata and your Guru. Thank them for helping during this meditation. Slowly rub your both palms. Keep them on your eyelids. Gently open your eyes in your palms. Take the palms to the entire body. Move your feet a bit, hands a bit. Relax. Want to drink some water? Have some water. Can keep your videos on now. We'll start the session. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram Samastajana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram Dakshine Lakshmano Yasya Vame Tu Janakatmaja Purato Marutiryasya Tam Vande Raghunandanam. Hari Om. Today, the topic of the session is importance of sadhana. The word sadhana or sadhana comes from root sadh. Both these terms you must have heard, sadhana and sadhana. Actually, both mean same. Sadhana means a means, an instrument of action. Upakarana, must have heard this word also. To write, pen is sadhana. To commute, vehicle is sadhana. To see, my eyes are sadhana. The female gender word of that is sadhana. So generally we give the etymological meaning of this word sadhana or sadhana as sadhyate anena iti sadhanam. Sadhyate is achieved. The goal is achieved. Anena, by which? By which the goal or destination is achieved, that is called as sadhana. In other words, the instrument with which you are achieving something, that instrument is called as sadhana. Similarly, sadhyate anaya iti sadhana, that by which we achieve, in female gender word we call sadhana. But as we all know, the word sadhana has a different connotation. It refers to spiritual practices. The word sadhana can mean anything. As I told you, pen is the sadhana for writing. Eyes are the sadhana for seeing. But we generally don't say pen is sadhana. We use the word sadhana for spiritual practices. Why? You see, instrument is required in achieving anything. But especially in spiritual attainment, this sadhana, the spiritual practices, are absolutely essential. That's why the word sadhana is exclusively used for that. Though I say like this, please understand that when we come to any art form, then again we call it a sadhana. A Sangeeta sadhana. We say, no, that person is doing sadhana of music, which is also again a subtle, again a spiritual experience. And that's why it is called as sadhana. Sangeeta sadhana is different from riyaz, different from the performance and practice. Sangeeta sadhana. So the word sadhana is generally used for the spiritual practices. See, it is easy for us to understand that without a means, a goal cannot be achieved. If I want to go somewhere, my feet or the vehicle that I am using is essential for me. But especially in spiritual goal, where the goal is not to attain something outside, but the goal is to realize my own true nature, sadhana, the spiritual practices, are absolutely essential. Why? Because Adhyatma Shastra, spirituality, is a subjective science. In objective science, when I am learning mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology, economics, management, whatever I am learning, it remains an intellectual knowledge. For example, suppose I am a good mathematician, doesn't necessarily mean that I am a good person. I am a good mathematician means I am good in mathematics. In my behavior, in my lifestyle, I may be anyhow. I may not be a good person in behavior, in my attitude. I may not be. Still, I can be a good mathematician. I can be a great scientist and still do not change my lifestyle at all. It is possible. Why? Because all the other sciences are objective sciences. And they remain in me as intellectual understanding. My brilliance in mathematics has nothing to do with what time I get up. My management techniques or my experience in management field has nothing to do with whether I am a soft-spoken person or not, whether my mind is pure or not. But in spirituality, that cannot be the case. If you want to progress in spiritual path, if you want to reach the ultimate goal, you have to bring inner transformation. There is no alternative. It is not like studying physics, chemistry, mathematics. See, I am not putting these sciences down. That's not the point. Point that I am making is there is a basic difference between objective sciences and subjective science. In objective sciences, the information remains in my intellect, doesn't necessarily mingle with my mind. But in the subjective science, in the spirituality, it has to be with the quality and texture of my mind. And therefore, sadhana, the spiritual practices, are must in spirituality. I may gain knowledge that I am Brahman. Like all of you are studying different courses, Foundation Vedanta course, Advanced Vedanta course, Bhagavad Gita, MJML, Upanishad course, Sanskrit, make it happen. Different courses you are studying, Swadhyaya series courses you might be studying. Through that, you might be understanding so many different concepts, that there are three bodies, Stula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, Karana Sharira. All this is part of knowledge, which is there, which is important, no doubt. But that knowledge will not translate into experience unless my mind is prepared. All of that will remain only intellectual understanding if I do not prepare my mind. Then it will be exactly like any objective science, that I am very good in Vedanta, but I am a scholar in Vedanta. I am not a sadhaka of Vedanta. I hope you are understanding the difference between the two. A scholar may know 100 things and can debate with you and can show you are wrong. Right? May know about all the darshanas, Nyaya and Vaisheshika and Sankhya and Yoga, and can quote from any Upanishad, from any Shankar Bhashya, anyhow. But a sadhaka is a person who tries to bring that knowledge which that sadhaka is studying into life, into experience. Often we ask this question, that we are studying Vedanta for such a long time, still change has not happened in our life. Why? That is because we are lacking in sadhana. We are studying, no doubt, different texts we are studying, and we say also, now Atma Bodha is over. Now I am going to study Viveka Chudamani. Now Vivek Chudamani is over. Now Bhagavad Gita. Now Bhagavad Gita is over. Now Upanishad. We may study more. There is nothing wrong with it. We must study. But along with that, there is something else that needs to increase, that needs to improve. Only then the knowledge that we are studying will become our experience. Very famous anecdote of Pujya Gurudev Swami Chinmayanand. One person went to Pujya Gurudev with Holy Gita, the book written by Gurudev, commentary on Bhagavad Gita, and said that, I am a student of Bhagavad Gita, and I have gone through Gita 18 times, because I have heard that 18 is a very auspicious number. There are 18 chapters in Bhagavad Gita, there are 18 parvas in Mahabharata, and so many things, 18 Puranas, etc. So I have gone through Gita 18 times, and I wanted your signature on this book. And Pujya Gurudev, in his unique style, of course signed, but wrote a message for him. Said, you have gone through Gita 18 times. Let Gita go through you once. Very powerful message. We have studied so many texts, but how much of that knowledge has come to our life? The moment I say Viveka, you will give definition of Viveka. Nitya Nitya Vastu Viveka Kaha, Nitya Vastu Ekam Brahma, Tad Vyatiriktam Sarvam Nityam, Ayam Eva Nitya Nitya Vastu Viveka. Tattva Bodha definition you will give me. Vivek Chudamani definition also you can give me. Brahma Satyam Jagan Nitya iti evam rupo vinischayah. But have we started applying that Viveka in our life? Have we started discriminating what is real and what is unreal? What is permanent and what is impermanent? Have we started developing that dispassion, that detachment towards that which is impermanent, which is unreal? Have we started practicing Shama? Dama, the sense control, the mind control, the sense control. Uparama, the withdrawal. Titiksha, the forbearance. Shraddha, faith. Samadhana, concentration. Have we developed that burning desire for liberation, mumukshutva? Have we done that? We may know all these sadhana chatushtaya by heart. We may know the definitions of it, but have we started putting them in our life? The next question, of course, automatically comes is, Vijay, how to do it? Because we have tried it so many times to do it, it doesn't happen. When we listen to some talks, some sessions, some text, we are very, very inspired. We want to do so many things, but that inspiration doesn't remain. Isn't it? In some time after the session, we are back to normal. What should be done? You see, again, there the solution is sadhana. See, any progress we want to do requires strength. For example, water to be taken from ground floor to the top floor requires a motor. Water from top floor to bottom doesn't require any effort, any strength. You just pour it down, it will come down. But whenever any progress, any upward movement is required, strength is required. Capacity, power is required. Similarly, if we have studied so many things, but if we are not able to bring it in our life, in order to do that, strength is required. Strength is required for us to order the mind saying that, shut up, just follow what I'm saying. Strength is required for that. And for that, to gain that strength, we need to do sadhana. Right? You able to hear me, right? Properly? So sadhana does a dual function. Number one, it gives me that purity of mind because of which the knowledge can transfer into experience. Number one. Number two, it gives me strength to bring the learnings into life. So I have got so many learnings, so many things that I have learned. Now to bring it in my life, I need strength. That strength also we get from sadhana. I always remember one experience. I must have been 7th standard or 8th standard, and had gone for a camp in Kolhapur of Swami Purushothamananji. And as small children, we were very close to Swamiji, and we never thought, what should be spoken to Swamiji, and that respect, etc. was later on. Love was there. Swamiji is our Swamiji. So I used to talk to Swamiji, and Swamiji also lovingly used to always take me wherever he goes. So I was talking to Swamiji, and I said, Swamiji, I just listened to your session. I was in 7th standard, okay, not that much clever. So I said, Swamiji, I listened to your session, and whatever points you are telling, no, are the same points that I keep telling my mother at home. But she doesn't listen to me. Same thing I was telling. Whatever you said, no, that you have to keep your head above the heart, and you have to listen, but not act on your emotions, etc. The same thing I tell my mother at home, but she doesn't listen to me. She listens to you only. Why? She should listen to me. My mother was also there, okay? In front of my mother, I am telling this to Swamiji. That, I keep telling, she doesn't listen. Swamiji laughed. That was his style. He laughed, and then suddenly he looked at me and he said, the power to words come from sadhana. The power to words comes from sadhana. Means what? I may be saying the same thing, but if I have done sadhana, that brings power to my words, and that reach the people that reaches the people and brings transformation. So my sadhana gives power to my words. You see, that's what Swamiji's answer is. Which means what? If we are saying that we are telling so many things to our children and our children are not listening, that is because we are lacking in sadhana. Our words do not have that power. So you see, sadhana brings the purity of mind to translate knowledge into experience. Sadhana also brings strength to live our learning. Sadhana also brings power to your words. We all know very famous anecdotes which are generally attributed to Mahatma Gandhi ji or sometimes also to Vinoba Bhave ji, that somebody took the child to Mahatma Gandhi ji and said that please tell my child not to eat sweet. He's eating too much of sweet. And it is said that Mahatma Gandhi ji told that mother, please bring your child after 1 week. So the mother went and brought the child after 1 week, and then Mahatma Gandhi took the child and said, hey, don't eat sweets. The mother was surprised that you could have told the same thing 1 week back. Why you told us to go back and come after 1 week? Mahatma Gandhi said, because I was eating sweets. So first I stopped eating sweets for 1 week so that I become eligible to tell them that you should also stop. See, practicing it will bring power to the words. Right? So that's why in spiritual life, sadhana is absolutely essential. It is not an objective science where you can keep the knowledge separate from your behavior, knowledge separate from your life. It is not that kind of science. It is a spiritual science related to one's own self. And therefore, we cannot keep these two things separate. Now, sadhana is what? We all know different kinds of sadhanas. Japa is a sadhana, meditation is a sadhana, study is also sadhana, puja is sadhana, chanting stotra, etc. is sadhana. All these are sadhana, no doubt. And more sadhanas you will know also as you continue attending this every month sadhana day. Swamiji also will keep explaining. Different speakers also will come and explain. You will know more about it. But I'll just leave you with one thought. Sadhana is not an action. Sadhana is an attitude. And therefore, any action can become sadhana if we correct the attitude. What did I say? Sadhana is not an action, but is an attitude. Therefore, any action can become sadhana. So suppose I am serving in a particular place, Chinmay Mission Center, etc. is there, and I am doing some seva there. I am taking a Balvihar class. I am organizing a program. That action also can become sadhana if my attitude behind that is like that. That I am doing this for what? So that my mind will be purified. I am taking this class not to give knowledge to people. Not with the attitude that, I know so much and these people don't know anything. So come, ignorant fellows, come, I will give you knowledge. Not with that attitude. With an attitude that I am doing it so that my mind will be purified. You see the attitude changes, the same action becomes sadhana. I may be listening to a talk, Shravana I may be doing, but again I keep that thought in mind that this Shravana that I am doing should bring purity to my mind. It is a sadhana for me. I am walking is a sadhana for me. I am taking bath is sadhana for me. I am speaking is sadhana for me. I am not speaking is also sadhana for me. It is an attitude. If we change that attitude in our mind, every single action of ours can become sadhana. Let us try to do this. Of course, there is importance given to particular sadhanas like japa, puja, dhyana, etc. That should be done. But I am saying even apart from that, even when I am cooking, even when I am talking to somebody, even when I am traveling, even when I am driving, can I bring that attitude by which that action becomes sadhana? Let us try doing that. Let us try and change the attitude behind the action so that every single action becomes a sadhana. Then what will happen? Then all the other three things that we said will happen. Then our knowledge will become our experience. Then we will get the strength to live our learning. Then we will have power to the words that we are speaking. That will happen automatically when our every action becomes a sadhana. Right? They will often speak of 3S: Swadhyaya, Sadhana, and Seva. Swadhyaya, self-study; Sadhana, the spiritual practices; and Seva, service. In all these three, that sadhana is in the middle because it gives strength to Swadhyaya and Seva. Swadhyaya without sadhana will be just scholarliness. Seva without sadhana will be just another action which will give me more ego. You bring sadhana into your life, both the other things, Swadhyaya and Seva, will go in a same direction and will bring more and more result in your spiritual path. Every single thing is sadhana. Right? Let us try to maintain that attitude in our life. If we are in a position, if we are given a duty that we have to take care of our parents, we have to take care of our children, that is sadhana for me. If we are in a position where we have to live alone, that is sadhana for me. In whichever walk of life, in whichever stage of life, in whichever situations we are in, to be there and to do what I'm supposed to do should become sadhana for me. Then what will happen? Then the entire attitude behind that action will change. Right? And that will give us clear vision of what is spirituality. Puja Guruji, Swami Tejomayananji always says, spirituality is not to do special things, but is to do everything in a special way. This is that special way. What is the special way? The special way is to change your attitude, to make every single thing as your sadhana. In Chinmay Mission also, when we say, unto him our best, means what? He's done everything now. Gurudev has done for us. Now, whatever I do is my offering unto him. And we cannot offer anything. We have to offer the best. Therefore, the attitude behind every action is that of dedication. But at the same time, we are totally careful about the quality of action, because we cannot offer just like this to our Guru. So without compromising on the quality of action, we improve the attitude behind the action and it becomes sadhana. Okay, that is the main point that I wanted to discuss with all. Let us take some questions if we have, and then we will proceed to the next thing. One question. The I-ness is still there when I do the duty. Then how can I convert it to a sadhana? See, when we do our duty also, why are we doing that duty? We often give the answer because it is my duty. The moment you say it is my duty, the I-ness comes. That is the point where we have to say that it is my offering unto my God, or it is my offering unto my Guru. Even my duty. So my duty is what? My personal duty towards myself. That is taking care of the body, taking bath, brushing, etc. That is my duty towards myself. That is also an offering unto Lord. Now my duty towards family members, my duty towards society, my duty, whatever is there, all that is my sadhana, my dedication unto my Lord or unto my Guru. You change this attitude, I-ness will not be there. As long as you are saying it is my duty, that I-ness might be there because it is my duty. You see? But the moment you make it into sadhana, it will not have that I-ness. All right. Bringing the attitude behind action, isn't it a karma yoga? Correct. It can become karma yoga also. But as I told you, it need not just remain for that seva. It need not remain for that attitude towards the particular action. Even swadhyaya, even listening can become sadhana. It will even give impetus to the sadhana that you are sitting in front of God and doing no daily puja, japa, etc. That also will become. See, karma yoga basically is what? Karma yoga is offering every action, changing the attitude behind that as a dedication to God. That itself is the base of sadhana. When that becomes your basic attitude for life, your entire life will become a sadhana. That is my dedication. Sadhana means what? My dedication unto Lord. Right? Can meditation alone lead to realization? See, meditation can be done only when you have listened to the scriptures from a guru. Because otherwise you will meditate on what? When you say, I need to meditate on Brahman, I am Brahman, this I need to listen first. So meditation, nididhyasana, has to be preceded by shravana and manana, listening and reflection. Right? So listening, then reflecting, clearing doubts, then I meditate. Then that can lead to realization. So when it is said, in this way, can meditation alone lead to realization? No. But can it be the final sadhana? Yes. But it has to be preceded by many other things. It has to be preceded by karma yoga and bhakti yoga also, by which you gain sufficient purity of mind and concentration of intellect. And then with that mind and intellect, when you listen, when you reflect, then you meditate, then it will give liberation. I hope this point also is clear. Next question. How to keep consistency in sadhana? How to prioritize sadhana in our daily life? Very important question. What happens many times is, in the run for what is urgent, we forget what is essential. We are always running behind what is urgent. This is urgent work. I have to prepare for my session. I have to, finish this work because tomorrow is class. Tomorrow is this program. In that, we sometimes compromise with our sadhana because we don't feel sadhana is urgent. But we have to understand that it is essential. For that, what we need to do is bring very strict rules for ourselves. Gurudev always used to say that when you deal with yourself, use your head. When you deal with others, use your heart. So when you deal with yourself, your sadhana, use your head. Be very strict. Put rules like, unless I finish the sadhana that I have decided for the day, I will not have meals. And think for yourself, if you don't mind missing a meal, then put some other rule. That I will not sleep till I finish my sadhana. And if by chance, because of some unavoidable circumstances, I could not do sadhana at all one day, next day I should do for both days. There's no missing. Unless you do this, I am telling you, we will never do. See, our mind is scared of too much of work also. But the moment that rule is there that today if I miss, tomorrow I will have to do twice, sometimes the mind will say that's okay, I will do it twice tomorrow. Tomorrow mind will say that's okay, I will do 3 times next day. But at some point of time, mind will say that no, this is too much, I cannot do that. Let me finish it every day. That is easier for me. Have very strict rules for yourself. And each person has to decide what rules to be put. As I told you, some people don't mind missing meal, So it is easy for them to say that I will not have meal. That's okay. I'll live on water. No problem. So don't keep that rule then. Keep a rule which will which will create real problem in your life otherwise. You decide that unless I do sadhana every day for next 15 days without a miss, I will not eat from outside. Nothing from outside I will eat. Unless I do it every day, not 15 days sadhana. Every day if I do sadhana, then only after 15 days, you give yourself a treat. That doesn't mean 16 day onwards, I will stop all my sadhana. That's not the point. The point is such rules you bring to yourself in your life. Without that, this consistency will not come. See, priority is not given to sadhana because we don't think it is essential. That's the problem. See how essential it is to fill petrol when we are going for a trip. We cannot say that, no, I have to reach there fast. Therefore, petrol, etc. we will see later. No. If you have to reach there, you have to fill petrol. Otherwise, you will not reach. So priority is not given to sadhana because we don't think that it is essential. Having said that, let me give a different answer to that also. Learn to enjoy sadhana. Then no rules will be required and no priority will be required. See, something that we love, we find time to do it. Yes or no? Suppose you love music, even while traveling, you will listen to music. Even while doing other chores of the work also, of the home also, you will listen to music. If you love cricket, you will keep that phone in front of you or TV in front of you. Even if you are eating, you will watch that. Why? Because you love it. Bring that love for sadhana, then no rules will be required. Start to enjoy your sadhana. When really we start enjoying that japano, then we don't need any rule. We don't even have to keep any track of it. We just keep doing it. So learn to enjoy your sadhana. Then it will become easy. Next. When I perform any good action, the first thought that comes to my mind is the punya that this action will bring to me. Is this correct? No, that is not correct at all. Any action should give me purity of mind. Shankaracharya says in Vivek Chudamani, Chittasya Shuddhaye Karma. Action is for bringing purity of mind. When will it bring purity of mind? When I do it with the attitude of sadhana. When that action doesn't remain action, when it becomes my sadhana, it will give purity of mind. So punya, papa, etc. should not be the focus. The focus should be purity of mind. That doesn't mean I can do wrong actions. Unrighteous actions cannot be done as sadhana. So of course, we are not talking about that. But we are not worrying about the result punya that I will get. But we are saying if I do it with right attitude, I'll gain chitta shuddhi, purity of mind at that very moment. See, punya, etc. will come later. Chitta shuddhi, purity of mind comes at that very moment. Let us try to keep that in mind more than punya. Right. Next. What is the difference between the life principle and consciousness? If a person is dead, then it means the consciousness is not present or it is still present. It's a different question than what we are seeing in today's class, but just in simple terms, I will just answer that. Life principle is an expression of consciousness or reflection of consciousness in the subtle body. That is called as life principle. So when we say life has left, Consciousness has not left anything, because consciousness is all pervasive. Even in the dead body, consciousness is there. But the capacity to express that consciousness is not there, because subtle body, the mind, is not there. That expression of consciousness in the subtle body, that reflection of consciousness, is called as life principle. So in the dead body, consciousness is there, life principle is not there. I hope it is clear now. Next, how to prepare and calm the mind for sadhana when it is very perturbed. There are many ways. One of the ways that we have just seen is in the beginning of meditation, when we did prana vikshana, when we kept observing breath. Raman Maharshi says that it is like the two branches of the same tree. Shakhayor Shakti Mulaka, he says in Upadesh Sar. And the lower branch is prana, the higher branch is mind. You hold on to prana and bring it down, the higher branch of mind will automatically come under your control. That is one sure way of focusing the mind. So suppose mind is very disturbed, then you just focus on breathing. Without changing the breathing pattern, the mind will slowly become quiet. And sometimes if mind is too disturbed, get up. Get up from sadhana, do something else. After some time, again sit for sadhana. I'm talking about japa, puja, etc. The sadhana that you do in front of God. And I'm talking about that. Next question. We have to last 2 minutes, okay? Then we have to go to the next topic. The mind slips to layer during meditation. How to overcome that? It is very natural. Sleep will come naturally to mind because we have not trained the mind to do meditation. Mind thinks that you are not doing anything, means it is time to sleep, and it sleeps. You have to take mind out of that habit. Just as you have put that habit to mind, you have to bring that mind out of that habit also. For that, different methods are there. One thing is you have to regulate your sleep and food habits, so that during the meditation, you don't feel sleepy. It's very important. Other ways are also there by which you can keep your mind triggered, alive. Different ways are there. At some other time, we will be able to see that. I'm not able to do prana vikshana as I tend to change my breath. That is okay. How can I do focusing without changing the breathing pattern? No, even if you change the breathing pattern also, you focus on that. That's okay. Why I'm saying without changing the breathing pattern? Because many people say that you have to take deep breathing, then you become breathless, then the entire focus changes, That's why I'm saying don't get into all that. Whatever breathing pattern is going on, you observe it. Suppose because you are observing, you are changing breathing pattern a little bit, that's okay, you observe that. Don't particularly put a particular breathing pattern. That's the point. Does purity of mind mean not to think of results of our actions? It is one of the things that we get from purity of mind. Purity of my mind means the absolute good thoughts and less number of thoughts. That's what basically means purity of mind. Is it necessary that we approach a trained person to learn pranayama? Yes. Other than prana vikshana, any other pranayama you have to do, you have to go to a trained person and learn. Because pranas are energy sources in our body. Don't play with it unless somebody who is trained in it guides us, who is in front of us, correcting us. Don't try it. Please don't try it. Okay. This is difficult. What you said, if I don't like routine tasks myself, how to consider those tasks as sadhana, like making useless reports in office and riding car in traffic. You see, making it a sadhana is the best way to do those tasks, because anyways you don't like it. The moment you say you are not doing it for yourself, but because you are doing for somebody else, it gives a little more force or push for us to do something. Okay. Think that I am doing it for God. It will please God. Why? Because it is my duty. See, it may be a mundane task. It may be what we say as boring task. but you are not doing it because it is interesting. You are doing it because it is your duty. So boring or interesting is not the criteria for choosing action. Criteria for choosing action is it is my duty, right? And with that thought, you try to do it. Okay. The sadhana will give you that push and will make that boring task also interesting. And there are various ways. I am telling you, you just have to change that attitude and you will find very many ways. Like you are telling reports in office, etc. No, you so many things you can do. When you are doing those reports, also keep chanting God's name. Then your focus, is automatically shifted. And still, that doesn't mean that you will make mistakes in reports because you are not doing something which is very contrary to that. When you are going in the driving car, etc. Also, think about something. Think about a interesting story of God. See, I am not telling that take your mind away from the driving. Otherwise, you will land in accident and you will say this happened because of VG. Don't do anything like that, please. But I am saying there are things which you can do along with the work that you are doing. Okay, that will help. I think we have come towards the end of the session. I will now request Sudhirji to come back and take charge of the session. We will be seeing Puja Gurudev's video now, and then we will conclude with Totakashta. Thank you very much, all. Hari Om.
Thank you, AG. Mahesh, kindly play Puja Gurudev's video.
Here he says, yours is the duty only to do your work, not to expect the results thereof. See? Yours is a duty, yours job is to fulfill your duties. Yours is not to expect the reward, the result. Karmanyeva adhikarasti. You have only the adhikara, the right to do and perform your duties as best as you can. Na phalesh. Please don't expect results. And the modern man reads it in English translation and says, Dega, this is how India became poor. All over the world, they are all profit motivated. India is the only place where you do work and don't worry whether you get wages or not, and you starve. May yours be the anxiety to fulfill your duties, but don't dissipate your mind with your anxiety for the fruits thereof. All right. Fruit of action, the result of an action. When does the result of an action come? Can the result of an action come before the action? Or at the time of action? Or is it after the action? The result of an action cannot be before the action. The result of an action is the effect of a cause. Action is the cause and the result is the effect. And therefore it cannot be while I am acting. The present action plus some time, then the action produces its result. Now, it is very well known to every one of you that we can act only in the present. Yesterday I cannot achieve anything today. Tomorrow I cannot do an action now. The tomorrow must become now and then only I can act. People can act only in the present. While thus I am facing my challenges right in the present, if I am over anxious for the fruits of the action, since the fruits of action come in the future, I am wasting my mental vitality in an unknown field or unknown factor called the future.
Hari Om. Now we conclude this session by chanting Todakashtakam and Shanti Mantra. विधिताखिल शास्त्र सुधा जलधे महितोपनिषत् कथितार्थनिधे हृदये कलये विमलं चरणं भवशंकर देशिकमे शरणम् भवशंकर देशिकमे शरणम् करुणावरुणालय पालय माम् भवसागर दुःख विदून हृदम् रचयाखिल दर्शन तत्त्वविदम् भवशंकर देशिकमे शरणम् भवशंकर देशिकमे शरणम् भवता जनता सुहिता भविता निज बोध विचारण चारुमते कलयेश्वर जीव विवेक विदम् भवशंकर देशिकमे शरणम् भवशंकर देशिकमे शरणम् भवयेव भवानिधि मे नितराम् समजायत चेतसि कौतुकिता मम वारय मोहमहाजलधिं भवशंकर देशिकमे शरणम् भवशंकर देशिकमे शरणम् सुकृतेऽधिकृते बहुधा भवतो भविता समदर्शनलालसता अतिदीनमिमं परिपालय मां भवशंकर देशिकमे शरणम् भवशंकर देशिकमे शरणम् जगतीमवितुं कलिता कृतयो विचरन्ति महामहसच्चलतः अहिमांशुरिवात्र विभासि गुरो भवशंकर देशिकमे शरणम् भवशंकर देशिकमे शरणम् गुरुपुंगव पुंगवकेतनते समतामयतां नहि कोऽपि सुधी शरणागतवत्सल तत्त्वनिधे भवशंकर देशिकमे शरणम् भवशंकर देशिकमे शरणम् विधिता न मया विशदैककला न च किञ्चन काञ्चनमस्ति गुरो द्रुतमेव विदेहि कृपां सहजां भव शङ्कर देशिक मे शरणम् भव शङ्कर देशिक मे शरणम् ॐ पूर्णमतः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ हरि ओम to everyone and pranams to all. Our next session will be on October 31st, last Sunday. You will be getting intimation regarding that. Hari Om.